Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. I think the answer at the end of the question got cut off, but what we were saying in the class, we'll just mention it here quickly or briefly, and I've just pulled up a translation of Shaykh Uthaymeen's Sharh on Aqidat al-Waasityyah, which wherein he discusses some of the points regarding ta'wil. So the question was, does ta'wil fall under Tahreef? And as I mentioned, for what you're generally understanding, Allah knows best, but what we generally understand from ta'wil, yes, but actually ta'wil has a variety of meanings. So Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala discusses, with regards to the point that we discussed today, why the Shaykh, the author of the book, why did he use the word Tahreef instead of ta'wil? And one of the reasons is Shaykh Uthaymeen says, fourthly, ta'wil is not absolutely condemnable. You cannot just say ta'wil is always condemned. The Prophet ﷺ said, "O Allah, grant him understanding of the religion and provide him with the knowledge of ta'wil, interpretation." So as we mentioned in the answer, the word ta'wil can be used for tafsir. It has a different of meanings. So Shaykh Uthaymeen goes on to say, so from the meanings, so ta'wil is therefore not totally condemnable because it has a number of meanings. It can mean tafsir, it can mean the end result or the outcome or the destination of something, and it can also mean reinterpreting something or interpreting something from its obvious meaning. And that's the part where maybe there's the confusion, or the confusion of number one. With regards to the meaning of tafsir, so as I mentioned, you can say, or you will find in some books of tafsir, that the author says the ta'wil of the ayah is such and such. If you look at Tabari's tafsir, I believe that he says that the ta'wil, and I think that's the name in the name of the actual book. Secondly, as for the ta'wil with the meaning of a thing's outcome, then this occurs when it is used in an assertive statement. Its outcome will therefore be doing it if it is a command, or abandoning it if it is a prohibition. But if it is used in an informative statement, its ta'wil will mean its occurrence. Informative mean khabar, an example of an informative statement, and the Shaykh gives examples, okay, i.e., do they wait until هل ينظرون إلا تأويله? Do they wait until its final fulfillment, i.e. its coming? Meaning, do these people not wait except the end result, the ta'wil, the end result and the destination of what they were informed? Also, the Shaykh mentions what Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam is mentioned as saying in the Quran, هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل. This is the interpretation of my dream. Here translates it as interpretation. Shaykh Uthaymeen says, meaning this is the result of my dream, because he said so after they had prostrated. And he gives some other examples. The third meaning, which is what we were going to discuss, is changing an expression from its obvious meaning, changing an expression from what is obvious or what is apparent. And this category itself is divided into both that which is praiseworthy and that which is not praiseworthy. So you have a text which is apparent, it has an apparent meaning, you have a text which has an apparent meaning. Okay, if you reinterpret this apparent meaning into a meaning which is not the apparent meaning, this can be referred to as ta'wil. Okay, this can either be praiseworthy or blameworthy. It is praiseworthy if you have an evidence which pushes you to do that reinterpretation. If there is evidence that pushes you to do that reinterpretation, then it can be praiseworthy. If there is no evidence to necessitate reinterpreting the apparent meaning to something else, then it is blameworthy, and that is what you would say comes under tahreef. Okay, so that type of ta'wil. So Shaykh Uthaymeen is translated here as saying, if evidence proves it, i.e. if evidence proves this reinterpretation, then it is praiseworthy, and it is from the first category, i.e. tafsir. But if the evidence does not prove it, then it is condemnable, and it is from the category of tahreef. and therefore not from the category of ta'wil. So technically it wouldn't be ta'wil. This second one is the category of the people of Tahreef regarding the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the people of that reinterpret the names and attributes of Allah. So when we have a name or an attribute of Allah and it's apparent, the apparent meaning is clear, but a person says, I'm going to reinterpret that from the apparent meaning to mean something else. He hasn't gotten evidence for this reinterpretation. He hasn't gotten evidence. Therefore, the reinterpretation is blameworthy and is more deserving of being called Tahreef. So in answer to your question, yes, that type of ta'wil that we just discussed here, yes, it would fall under Tahreef. But there are other types of ta'wil, or this word ta'wil has other meanings which wouldn't fall under that. So if you see that in the statements of some scholars, don't be confused. And for further clarification, you can read the sharh of Shaykh Uthaymeen with regards to this point. Don't just read the whole sharh alongside the lesson unless we have a discussion. And also in the books of Usul al-Fiqh, there's a discussion with regards to the meaning of the text. When you have a text which is a nas, and you have something which is dhahir, and when you reinterpret it, you reinterpret something or not. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.